Hey, I want to talk to you guys about the power of prayer. A few weeks ago, my son had a high school basketball game and they were playing out of town. One of his teammates went up for a basket and his legs got taken from up under him. And he ended up hitting the deck really hard. He hit his lower back and immediately I can see him start to like shake like this on the ground. But he was crying. And so I got out of the stands. His mom ran over from the stands. And, we obviously checking on him. And the first thing I heard when I got over there is, I can't move. So, me just thinking, I'm not a paramedic or anything like that, but I was like, well, we really don't want to, do anything crazy so this situation get worse or whatever. So everybody, the referees, teammates, his mom and I, we all like grab some of us on the side, somebody's at his head, somebody's at his feet, because we're trying to, keep him as stable as possible while we shift him from the court over to, there was a hallway where he was able to move off of the court and where we laid him at. So once we took him over there, the players and everybody else kind of go back to playing basketball. That continues, and me and his mom is standing there by his side. He was in really, really bad pain. So I told his mom, I said, well, you probably can just call the ambulance, and that way they can come, and if he needs to get x-rays or whatever, you can just know everything is clear or whatever the case is. So she walks off. While she walks off, I'm sitting there by his side, and I just put my hand on his body and I just begin to pray for him. And I just start praying over his healing. I start praying over his pain, that his pain would go away. I pray that there were no broken bones. I'm just praying everything that would come up over this kid. And when his mom comes back, now she begins to ask questions because the ambulance there on the way. She starts to ask him questions like, well, how are you feeling? Are you able to move? Like, what's your pain level now? And when she asked him that, his response was, it's about a 5. His whole countenance, everything about him just starts shifting as I was praying for him. He went from like being really, really tense to really just having like a sense of peace, like he was calm. So by the time his mom come back, she asked him, how's your pain? He's like, it's like a 5. So she's like, can you move, a little bit? So he began to move, he began to turn, and I had went through all the checks and everything before I prayed for him just to make sure he can feel his toes, his hands, and where I would move and things like that, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't nothing like he was paralyzed or anything like that. So, but after prayer, he just started getting better and better and better. And just to the point, fast forward, to make a long story short, he actually was able to walk out of the gym on his own power. And the paramedics, they came, they checked him out, and they was like, well, we don't feel like there's anything broken. Are you able to move? It could just be a bone bruise or whatever, but you're good to go. So I just wanted to encourage you guys, man, to pray. Pray, whether you're praying for somebody else, whether you're praying for your own children, whether you're praying over your own life, whether you're praying for your neighbors, the people in your community, or if you're in a store and something like this happened or whatever, begin to pray for those people. It didn't have to be my child for me to pray for him. It didn't have to be my child for me to go see after him. As a kingdom citizen, these are just things that we do, right? So I just wanted to share that story with you guys and talk to you about how powerful prayer is. This kid was able to go from falling and saying that he couldn't move at all to actually walking out of the gym under his own power or strength, I would say. Basically with no help. He was able to walk out of the gym with no help. And all of that happened within the span of about 45 minutes to an hour. So literally in the same hour, he went from not being able to move, out of his own words, couldn't move, to actually being able to walk out of the gym and get in his car with his mom and go back home. So prayerfully, I hope that this encourages you guys in your prayer life, and just encourage you to be praying for other people, because you never know what happens or what other people may be dealing with. So it don't have to be anything like this, but it can be anything. Prayer still works.